Everywhere, GBS.
The following program has been rated GE by the Kenya Film Classification Board. It is therefore suitable for general family viewing.
Hello viewer, welcome to CHUNGU cha JAMII. I'm your host Eunice Mugo. Today on the show we're going to talk about co-parenting. Are you in a state where you're doing co-parenting with your partner? What brought about this issue of separating and having to co-parent in different areas? These are some of the things that we are going to tackle today. And on the show, I'm not alone. I have guests who are going to help us to understand better on issues matter co-parenting. I will allow them to introduce themselves. Welcome, guest. Starting with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hosting us. My name is Pastor Lydia Juguna of Seasoned Assignment. Like I've always mentioned before, it's all about mentorship for the young people. And it's my pleasure anytime I'm touching lives of young ones.
Welcome to the show, Pastor Lydia.
Thank you so much.
And to you, lady.
Good morning. My name is Anyambura Kamo. I am a documentation specialist. What led me to this is because of co-parenting. I had issues with my documents of my daughter, and I would get advice from my mom. It would change her names and things like those. And that is when it started all in my head, how things should go straight for every child. Thank you.
Thank you on this show, madam. Viewers, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So to start with, co-parenting. At our generation where we are, mostly we are being called Generation X. I don't know why. But again, now that we are here, a lot of us, comparing to where our parents are, our grandparents were, we are finding that today is very normal being a single parent. Before it was an abomination. What brings about these issues to do with separating? Because at first you're so much in love, but later you can't even stand the sight of your partner. And this brings upon the separation and why now we are talking about co-parenting. How or where did we go wrong, and what are the genesis of all this for that young mother who is contemplating to do or to go in that direction? How can we unlearn and go back to the normal norm of where we were before?
Well, to start with, I would say that if we look at the way our parents were, they had energy. If there's a generation that has been so perseverant, patient, in love, I don't know whether it's real love, but our parents, they really, really endured a lot.
Sure.
And they had grace. As a pastor, I'll just term it as grace. They were looking at it where it's different with, that's why now we are called Generation X. Them, they were looking at it, the future of their children. You'd find that a parent, either a mother or a father, is in a marriage where there is abuse or there is no that cohesion. They will decide just to remain there because of their children. So you'll find, even if you listen to many of their stories, even when our parents are talking to us, they are like, if I left, you'd not be having a home now. So there was that muscle, there was that grace of wanting to see their children in a family setup, in a home. Unlike today, where there are some differences, some arguments, some fights, and then because we do not have that stamina, there is not that much grace, we term it as people being narcissistic, people being selfish, such things comes up. And sometimes you feel you don't have that grace, or abuse. You don't have that grace to be abused and wait to die. Because unfortunately, our parents would wait. Of course, they were going through challenges and difficulties, but they would wait. They still waited on, and that's why we are having them in their homes. But as we're in a generation where try to put a hand on me, I can survive without you. And that now brings the challenge of the children, because the people who suffer in between are the children.
Sure.
Previously, the previous generation of our parents were avoiding to create that gap, the parent-children gap. But today, that gap is there, and that's why today we are coming up with this topic of co-parenting. Thank you.
Coming to you, Nyambura, maybe you can help us to understand, also by sharing your story a little bit, when issues or circumstances led you to that direction. Did you consult your children, or did you go the African way? A parent is always right, my way or highway, or no way?
Well, my story started when I think when I was in a relationship with the father of my child, and I first got the first pregnancy, and unfortunately, after day 1 of birth, we lost that baby, and the journey twisted. The love and the everything, it was different. Because normally when a woman loses a baby, she's there to blame. They're thinking, didn't you push well? Was it the date, the D date? Was it the clinic? Was it the choice of hospital? And I remember those days in the late 90s, anyone who was sick or you suffered any sickness or death of a child, the thing that would come up is maybe you are HIV positive. And it was a stigma for me. And I did not know. I had my auntie who was sick, and she was HIV positive. So she came in very quickly just to counsel me and tell me all will be well. She even took me for, just to be checked again after delivery. Maybe this would have cost. And so I was sure this was not the cause of death. Although the doctor had said everything about the pregnancy and what happened, but there are those things, the community, they stereotype you. And I think that the guy started having, stepping back on the relationship, not working hard on it. Before the time we met, I think that was 1997, he was not a drunkard. He was a very hard-working guy. And I think after the loss of this child, he changed even his friends. People he used to hang around with and all that. So it took me long, just to take courage back. And now you've met the family, and they're thinking, another year has gone, no pregnancy. Another year is going again, no pregnancy. And still you start preaching to yourself, am I barren? And then, the family, there's that division, but you can't really tell because you're still pretending. But I kept praying to God that one day He's going to give me the fruit of my womb. And I remember it was 1999, and my sister-in-law had a wedding that really excited me because I was raised in church, and everybody was really expecting that one day I'll have a wedding. But unfortunately, at age 20, 21, you lose you're in college, you're doing your things. Your parents are trying to guide you in the right way. But you're thinking, I've been raised in this home, the two parents are there, but there are still those things that you really suffer in the home. Maybe your dad comes drunk and there's a fight, or your grandmother has come in between the two of them, and you're feeling, I need to run to a safe place. So when I got this guy, I thought this is a safe place, and he was safe, year 1, year 2, year 3. So the time I got the second pregnancy, I had gone through a lot of prayer. I remember a lady friend of mine, she's called Mama Ann, she introduced me to the prayer of Hannah. And that prayer of Hannah was basically, God, may you give me a son. And we continued praying for a long time until that day of my sister's-in-law wedding. In a wedding, you dress up. We had really dressed up, and it is the sister's wedding. We were the maids of honor, the lady called Nancy. And we were praying also for this Nancy that one day I would get a baby. She had a baby girl called Patricia. So I used to look at Patricia like my own girl, but I'm telling God, give me a baby boy. You have to change this story. It has to be a boy. It can't be another Patricia. And during that wedding, the guy came just after the church wedding, and he told us with Nancy, you guys are looking so beautiful. It's like the first day we met you. you know, your makeup, short skirts and all that. He said, today after the wedding, I'll be taking you girls on an outing for a disco. And I was so excited because after dating period for like 2 years and I had lost my baby, there was no dating anymore. There was no going out, you know, like going like a rave or something like that. So we were excited. And I remember it was the 7th of August, 1999. That morning we went home at around 3 a.m. By 8 o'clock I had known I'm pregnant and I was like, let me just hope so. By 1 o'clock went to the sister's house for lunch and there was a dish filled with chicken. The time I opened it, I felt like I don't need chicken. And I felt like I need to puke. And the sister called me and said, what's wrong with you? I said, I don't know, but I feel like I'm not okay. Let me sit, I feel like dizzy. By Tuesday, I had told my mom, I'm thinking I'm pregnant. And she's like, you need to find a very good gynecologist, you need to find a good midwife, you need to start, you know, because my mom at first she felt she was not in this relationship. Now she had seen that have persevered. Now it's year 3, year 4. It will be forever. So she's on it. And
Maybe
that's
to
how the
cut you
journey
short.
started. Yeah.
And coming back to you, Pastor Lydia, getting it from what she has just shared of the losing a child and now the man not being there like he was before, and now also having to live with the stigmatization and also not understanding. When you're doing mentorship and when you're doing pastoral ministry in such relations, they both have a story. The man has a story, the woman has a story. She has mentioned that the man started drinking and changed friends. Is it that when you lose a child or when you lose a family that you had, something that you had valued and cherished, that now you find like you're hopeless, you're lost, and now the only way to recollect yourself is maybe through alcohol, going out, for lack of better words, doing things that you're not supposed to do, or like a way of replacing whatever pain or loss that you've gone through? What is it that goes about in our minds when they are sharing with you that you could say this and this I've picked from a couple of numbers of people that I think could be the issue?
The things that I've picked are, you know, when something happens in a relationship that was stable, everyone, or rather each party, seeks to be felt or to be understood. The woman would want the man to feel or understand what she's going through. The man, the same case, would want the woman to feel and understand what he's going through. But unfortunately, sometimes it happens that men, they're not in a position to express themselves. So they rebel. I would use the term rebel because they want to be felt. You know, as women, we are emotional. As we are emotional. So we respond through emotions. I've hurt, I've lost, it's painful. You don't understand. Those are the moments you need, or that woman needs someone. Like, for example, in that case, Nyabura would have needed someone to come and embrace her, that man to come and embrace her, tell her sorry. She did not need that moment of being stigmatized, you know. She needed someone who would come and love on her at that moment of pain, that moment of difficult. But it happens that now that moment, it becomes a story to other people, and you find that you're alone. So you're in a valley of thoughts. You're trying to think, actually, what really destroys much of the thing is what people are saying about us. Okay? Sure. Then on the other side, the man, instead of coming and expressing himself, because he's getting to the house and the atmosphere have changed, things have changed, he opts to get peace elsewhere or to express himself in other activities. So in between this process of wanting to express, wanting to be understood, wanting to be felt, I would say that's where the enemy gets an opportunity to separate, an opportunity to destroy instead of making it better. Because like I always say that God is the initiator or of family. The love for God is for us to have families.
Sure.
But the enemy knows where to hit. Because I want to believe, like what my friend has shared, when they were getting into a relationship, they were in love. So there was a foundation of love. Everyone who gets into a relationship, there is that drive of love. And for us women, we see far. As we not only see that wedding day, we just see marriage, we see walking with our children, my husband, my children, you know, we see differently. Sure. Men are logical. He's done, he's settled. At the end of the day, I have my children, I have a family, you get. So there's much input that is required. So what I normally pick from all sides is that there is an attention seeking to be understood.
When you say attention seeking, why, how do we now come together now as a couple for us to find a peace and balance in this? Because I'm finding I want attention, he wants attention. And in most cases from the studies that I've done, men barely open up to say what they're going through. They don't want to be in that state of being vulnerable, yet from where I'm seated, a man should be, depending again with the relationship, should be at least open enough to the lady. Because if you've chosen this person to be part of your life entirely, then that person you should be open to.
There should be communication.
Yes, because if maybe now getting her story, if the man has changed, if it was just a matter of communication, maybe you can correct us if you're wrong. Just coming to you, you get to listen to him, and he gets to listen to you. Because the both of you have lost. It's not a crime of one person. It was not intentional. But yet, also, maybe you can help us to understand also through this, when families come and now fight you, is he also fighting with you? Because now I'm thinking, if the both of you have lost, then he should be the one who is protecting you and telling the family, no, we have both lost. It's unfortunate, but it has happened. So moving on forward, what are we supposed to do?
I think most of the ladies, as you had said before, on this young generation, when you're getting married, a woman is very focused. They know, I am doing this, or in a relationship, you want it to work. You know, you don't think about what if it doesn't work. So when I learned later that in life, when you get into a relationship, it is not yours. It is for the family.
True.
But you marry one person. You live in one roof with one person, but everything that you do goes to like 40, 50 people in a small span, because they introduce you to their cousins, to their sisters. Their sisters are married to other families. And anything that happens now goes to everyone. And it comes late in life to realize you're not married to one person. It is to the society. And this is the people that they will judge you, or they would pick you up. And I think the mess here is the both of us are coming from different families. And maybe these families, they don't, like Pastor Lady had said, when people are getting married, parents are involved. But there is this marriage where parents are not involved. So you guys meet in town and decide we are good. We love each other, and we are good. We are adults. We are both working, and
we know what we want.
We know what we want. So you don't know this person. You don't know how he was raised. And I remember, like, the father to my daughter would sing all Kigosho songs. He knows all of them. And I never dared ask myself, where did he learn all these songs? And he tells me he's a Catholic. And for me, that time, I was a Protestant, and I didn't know those songs. And my mom used to interrogate me, this guy, do you know him very well? I said, well, we visited by his home, I met his mom, and I would forget to call my mother-in-law, mom, I would call her Shosho, because I was married to a home where this guy was among us the last children, and he has siblings who are the age of my mom. So when the other kids are calling my mom-in-law Shosho, I call her Shosho, and she corrects me. She tells me I'm not your Shosho, and I am so lost. I think that's where the problem starts. And what I would say, it's good if you know the person very well,
That is a
like
key
for a
point.
long time, and you even know exactly their background or what they believe in. Because I think now the mom immediately she started thinking, you can get another lady
Okay.
very quickly and get
Replace
children
and move on.
Yeah, please move on. What are you still doing with this lady who doesn't bring any?
Wow. I'd like us to take a break briefly, but when we come back, maybe starting from where you've just said, families wanting to replace you like instantly. I sometimes think and reason to myself, and I'm like, what if it is your daughter? Would you want your daughter to be treated the same? That is the question that always burns me, because in most cases when you hear stories of in-laws, then how they treat you is not how they would want their children to be treated. But when we come back, we'll talk more on that. Viewer, I hope you're learning as much as I am. Send in your question, your comments, interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
And today we are going to talk about skincare. Leo tunataka glow, skin is glowing. Yeah.
Every lady anapenda kutunza skin yake. Acha tujue.
Yule unasikia kwa mwanadamu kuna basic needs, kuna hiyo ingine inaitwa nini, secondary, na hiyo ingine skincare. Skincare is a basic need, that's what I say. So now for these skin cells to be regenerated, you need to feed them with the right, you need to feed it with the right products. The most basic is a good cleanser. A good cleanser will remove all the dirt from your skin. How is it?
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about co-parenting. What is co-parenting to you? What are the challenges are you facing in co-parenting? How best are you doing it so that your child is less hurt or affected? These are some of the things that we are talking about today. Interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, you'd mentioned about now you're not understanding or differentiating your mother-in-law and at times mistaking her to be your grandmother. Aside from that, her advocating for the son to marry someone else like instantly, not wanting to understand or seeing the struggles, is it that when we do not understand the struggle of someone else, is it that personally I've not maybe walked in the same shoes as this person has, so that I'll be able to throw the first or cast issues or critics to this other person without wanting to understand whether they're going to be hurt or affected either way. Because as a parent, if you bring such a statement to your child, because both of them are your children, then automatically this other person is going to be hurt. And if the son or the daughter buys the idea, then this family is not going to work. How do we come out of that, Pastor Lydia?
How we come out of that, fundamental thing is the Word of God. Genesis, I think, chapter 2, is I think, I don't know, from verse 20 or somewhere, it says that for this reason, a man shall leave his parents and cleave to his wife.
Sure.
So there is a picture of leaving your parents, okay? So it is to a woman. So there is that point, you have lived with your parent for long, for 20 years, 25 years, but this moment comes, you have to leave them, cleave. Cleave, it means you start another life with another person who is not your brother, who is not your sister, but you start a home. Meaning you have to leave. But the mistake, and I say sometimes that the cause of many breakings in the family, it's when a man leaves the home, but does not cleave to the wife. He's still operating the wife in the program of the family. Because it should be a decision. I have decided to marry, I'll marry, and this is why, this is my entity, this is my property, this is my life. I have started a life. So you put a disconnect in the matters of emotional things, sexual things, your future, your destiny. All right? So, but the mistake that comes in, a man wants to get a woman, but also want to consult with the parents, want to consult with the relative, there's something they can't do. They can live with a parent, and that mother will not give him a wife, because my mother will not give birth to my husband. So they should let me be. All right, my family should let me be, because for the years I've been with them, they never brought what I needed. Even as a man, when he's coming to his life, they never gave us what we needed. So at this point, because tumepatana, let us sort our problems.
Facility, having said that, it is true we need the space, the time to sort our problems. But again, is it how we're brought up? Or is it the fear of repeating what has happened? Because again, if you've been brought up in a family, but yet not so conducive for you, one thing we always tell ourselves, and what actually right now we are going through, is we say, I don't want to go through what my mom went through. Might be going through abuse, might be going through challenges of dad being drunk, not providing, and everything. And you're telling yourself, that's all we'd say, I want to give my children a better life than I was given. That brings a change in everything. It is true, and it's good when we want to give that to our children. My question is it now that we are afraid of history repeating itself, that we tend to not cleave to our spouses, rather continue consulting with our families both ways? One consulting with his family, and now the woman also consulting with her family. Maybe let's take her take on that before we come back to you.
What I would say about that, the experiences are different because of cultural issues and beliefs. And having one person being raised in the village and another one raised in the town setup, they would think like you are a bit controlling, like you know yourself, you know what you want. And maybe the man also has a perspective, the woman should be like this. A woman is submissive. If she's told, wake up, you wake up, sleep, sleep, it's like a switch.
Okay.
So now, maybe when you go to the village and maybe you're asked to do some duty that you cannot do, you've never done that duty before, they are thinking, who is this you brought to us? So they already had a picture in mind of the kind of a person they wanted to come. Maybe they wanted somebody who can go and fetch firewood, somebody who can go to the river, somebody who can go and feed the cows. And at this point, you are working. You're even thinking, I can pay someone to go and do that? Yeah. Even if I am young. And I remember my mother-in-law asking me, are you mature? How come you don't know how to cut firewood? And I'd look at her and I'd tell her, Shosho, by the way, okay, we never did this at our home.
True.
So I think those differences would bring in what kind of a relationship that you people want to have. Because my experience, later when I got my baby, my daughter, I cleaved totally to her. You know, the time she came in, I remember my gynecologist kept asking me the whole 9 months, what are you expecting? I said, I'm expecting a baby boy. And the last minute he asked me, I'm in labor pain. So if this baby comes and they're not a boy, what do we do? I look at him, I told him, Daktari, I'm in pain. Just let's do this thing. Whatever God is going to give me, I have prayed enough. Let it come. By the time I saw that dark girl, I was like, oh, the world is mine, you know. But immediately, what happened to me before clipped in me. What if? What if? It's only day one and I'm so happy. What if? And I remember the pediatrician at the labor ward treated my daughter so nicely. And I'm like, I hope the dad will treat this baby the same, you know, with this kind of love and all that. And little did I know, the day we went home, day 2 after delivery, you know, in hospital you're given everything. You say, I want Milo, it's there. I want this, it comes quickly. And because it's your money.
Okay.
But now back at home, you have a cultured man. He asks you in the morning, do you want to have tea? And I'm like, am I lost? I need someone to help me maybe make tea. Because this is not a question for a woman who has given birth. You want tea? Tea should be there, like full time. You wake up, you're hungry. Somebody has been on your boobies like the whole night. And I said, wait a minute. These questions my mom was asking me whether I know this guy. Now it's real. I don't know. Who is this guy? Because now I need his help. And he's like, I need to go and look for money.
Wow. Coming to you, Pastor Lydia, as you gave us your point on the same. When we are here, the baby is here, and the support we expect, is it that we are expecting too much? Or is it that they are not in that space to deliver whatever is expected of them? What goes wrong?
Okay, having done a lot of counseling to people who are separating, people who are divorced, people who are single parenting, I tend to think that there is too much of expectation. And sometimes when our expectation is not met, we feel frustrated. And before we correct our frustration, things have gone haywire. Same for both sides.
Sure.
For both sides. And this is what I said when it said that a man should cleave to his wife. It should be a foundation thing when they are beginning to have a family or to come up with a family. The man should be assertive. The man should be assertive. I want to believe we are in the days, these days, and Nyabra mentioned that them days, you realize that you are not married to one man, you are married to a community. For us to have families today, because I had another meeting, another program, and they were asking, do you think that our children will be having families? You know, like, do you think our children will get married? Do you think like they will have families and those families will stand? And my answer was yes, if only we allow them to be. If only this man is mentored, this woman is mentored. And you're told not everything you'll be given on a platter. No. They need to be taught responsibility. And also, we need to know that our thinking capacity is different. It's said for a woman sometimes we are a notch higher. I think we have a 60 cents. So our expectation go beyond. So this man is trying to, he has already expressed. Maybe him asking, do you want tea? He didn't try it. He just wanted you to say yes, and then he would do the next thing. As you want things there, done
It's
right
common
away.
sense.
It's common. I mean, why should you ask me, do you want to dress up? You already know I need to dress up. And you realize these men, they want aplomb. And that's why God said, you woman, follow this word. I wouldn't want to bring it here, but follow this fool. I don't know why God say that. Because they are blessing. Men are blessing. Because without men, we don't have children. We don't have family. But I want to believe there's something God saw in man that needed to be helped. And coming just to that, I always say, like, for example, even today, look at it. A young man, an industrious man who is having a good job, who is doing well, he will not grow until a woman comes into the space. Now you realize there's some investment, there are some things, there are some properties, because there's another brain that has come into this home. So in all aspects and in all matters, a woman should know he's coming into the life of that man as a brain. So when you think he need to understand you, you need to get his psychology. Okay? Get his psychology. The moment you get his psychology, my friend, now I'm now speaking from the people that who have worked their relations so hard, and they're like, my friend, you're treated like a queen. There's just like a brain you need to trigger in a man's brain. Like this, I don't know. They need to give a secret.
Wait. Just thinking about it, it makes a lot of sense because, again, when we listen to men, correct me, when we listen to men, they say, and we also have this memes where they say, understanding a woman, the book is like this. Understanding a man, it's like this, and you're like, they always tell us plainly, you women are so complicated dealing with you. Maybe sitting just to look at you, you're like, your hair, your dress, everything is just complicated. For a man, it's just simple. And true to their words, from my analysis, if I'm to get ready, I take an hour or so to get ready. For him waking up, taking a shower, man, within 15 minutes, you're done. And he's like, unanichelewesha. You get? Now, when we say we want to trigger, is it that we are supposed to just to tell them, as women, we say, ni common sense. If you see my hair is shaggy, common sense tells you, send me money to go make my hair.
You need to get it different. When you know your hair is shaggy,
say it.
Trigger him. Ask him, do you want your queen to be shaggy? I mean, the moment you trigger that, men are proud when you allow them to be responsible. That's what they want. They want to be triggered because you want to lift his shoulders. Also, I'm the man who need to do these things.
Wait a minute. You being too much of a pastor and you're being so much into the boy child. Coming to you.
I like what Pastor Lydia is saying, but it's not common sense for you to know what a man wants.
Yes.
And especially when you're brought up in a different setup. Like I told you, mine was from the village. He went to school just across the road, then he went to another high school around there, and then he came to Nairobi to look for money. He did not come to look for a wife. So in the village, they have this person that should be married to this guy who they have the same kind of mind. And so he finds you like you're very irrational, you do things very quickly. For me, I have a tendency, I learn things very quickly. And I also think in the family setup, you can be like a last-born in your family, but you're like a first-born.
In terms of responsibility?
Of responsibility. And I think in my family, I took everybody, if I tell anyone I'm not a firstborn, they don't believe me. I took responsibility of our family very much, other than my elder sister. And him being born among us like a ninth born, and the mother having spoiled him, like he's Kadadi, I think he was named the brother to the mother. So the mother would keep relating him, my brother. You know, a brother is somebody who should be loved. So I look at the relationship between the mother, and I'm like, am I intruding somewhere here? And maybe I'll not. And then something I'd like to say about the temperaments of people. You know, when you just meet, you don't know exactly. When somebody is very introverted, he doesn't tell you everything, you know. He wants you to learn by yourself. And if you're a fast learner and you're an extrovert, you learn things quickly. You know what is needed here, you solve it. And by the time you're in this thing, you're the one who is doing things. You're controlling things without your knowledge. You're still behaving like how you are behaving in the family setup, at home. You don't even remember there's somebody here. Because I remember when I was going to hospital, I would say I would like this hospital, I would like this doctor, everything. And this doctor kept asking me, why is this guy not coming? I said, because he's busy looking for money. Why is he looking for money? What money is he looking? The money he's looking for is for you and this child that is coming. I can't remember anywhere he visited the Ghana, anywhere. He said, if you've done the test, I'm okay. I mean, he was not, he doesn't understand. He thinks it's been townish. It's been too much. Him going to a Ghana. Why am I going there? Even the day I called him, I took myself to hospital, and that doctor told me, unless you become my wife. I cannot believe even on the D-Day you're here alone again. Wow. He had to hold my hand all the way to the corridors and say, treat her nicely, I will be coming in a short while. So every information you're getting, even about how the child is coming, even the way you talk to the pediatrician, even taking the child to a clinic, he's not there. So the disconnect doesn't start the day you start issues. It starts behind there. And that is when somebody takes the courage. Do I want to move on with this direction? Or do I want to do the co-parenting so that we can go up to speed? Because you're thinking this one might even delay. But later back in life, the man realizes himself when he's late and they want to come in.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Viewer, I would want us to take a quick break. We'll be back to talk this and much more. Interact with us across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.
Now, I've been accused by many people of being the happiest person they've met. And they're always asking me, don't you ever get angry? And I'm like, I do get angry, but I have learned how to regulate and how to be happy in every circumstance. Happiness. Happiness comes from this state of happenings. You know, it has to be brought by something, but that's not true. You can create your own happiness. Putting too much pressure and too much expectations on other people is going to set you up to not be happy. I want to introduce you to one more thing that you must absolutely avoid. You must do what you've been called by God to accomplish. I want to encourage you to look deep inside you and find what is the thing you like to do, what is the thing you do well and you enjoy doing. And with that, you'll be able to know this is a gifting that I have, and you'll feel more fulfilled, you'll feel more purposeful, you'll feel more, you feel like you're achieving more, even if your current situations don't allow it. But you know what I've learned? That everyone is on their own journey. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and God loves you so, so much. I pray that you can see that He did a good job making you, and that you'll appreciate yourself and love yourself even more and be able to, share now that love with others. Because it first starts with loving yourself, and then you can love others. So do that from a place of abundance.
And I want you viewer, wewe mwenye uko hapo, wewe unaniangalia, niambie hapo kwa comment kama umeenda kuskaniwa macho. Kama umeenda kuskaniwa macho.
Kama uko hivyo nje na unataka kuwa msanii, this is actually the
time.
best time, yeah, cause kwa social media.
Unaona hiyo time ilikuanga genge, si ndio? Ilikuwa genge tu, ni genge. Calif Records manze.
Kenyan artists honestly. Akunanga unity. You know, let me just tell you that for free. Akunanga.
Kaspanyu.
Hey, Kaspanyu.
Bro, that's a bad man.
Ngoma yenye ilikuwa ina hit ya TZ ilikuwa tu Mr Nice peke yake.
Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. Today we are talking about co-parenting, the root cause, where it all started, why we are having it, so that we are able to understand what we need to unlearn and what we need to change for our future children not to go through the same, and maybe to salvage and go back to where our parents were. So before we went on a break, Nyambura was sharing something, and I was thinking, when you say a man is here looking for money and has no time for you, maybe that is how I've been brought up, because you're also having women who are so workaholic and have no time for children or family at all. It is what we term to be important that we create and make time for. But at times, we also do not know how to balance ourselves. Fine, I know my family is a priority. That's what I tell myself. But again, I also tell myself, for me to give my family everything, I have to work hard. That is my way of showing love, working hard and being able to provide for them. The materialistic. And you'll have people who will say, I'd rather have you without the materials, but have you as a person. Depending with where you're seated and how you see it, that brings about the difference. Now, she said being among the last born, but again, responsibilities and maybe being prompt to mature ahead of time, she's taking up responsibilities of being like the eldest. Now, would that be the problem that we are having or facing in our society, whereby as women have been brought up being shown how to be more responsible and more aggressive? Now that we're also doing a lot of empowerment to the girl child, that we've already forgotten about the boy child. To an extent whereby, like you mentioned, a man wants to be felt appreciated. So if my hair is not done well, ask this simple question: do you want your queen to be shaggy? Very sweet, very simple, and yes, understanding. But you'll find someone else who will say, Haoni, do I have to? Will I be telling because I've told you today, next 10th month, I tell you the same next? You see, it's like, I don't know, correct me, but mostly I feel like when we hear women talking, you say, it's common sense. If I've told you once, twice, thrice, you should know it's a norm. I have to make my hair always. But again, like you said, it's a way of appreciating and showing your man that you appreciate. And you also see the effort that he's doing. But now we're in this space whereby if you say it and then kukwe nako kalaxity ama uone you're singing the song too much, then you now tell yourself, I think I can be managing all this. I don't have to keep on coming back to you, asking you to do something for me. Could that be why we are going through this? Because we are empowered enough, we are working, we have money. So if you tell me, go to the shamba, and I don't know how to do the shamba, I'll pay someone to do it, which is good. And it has saved me time to do something else. But now, there's that rift of how we've brought up. How are we going to bridge and come together so that we do not pass the same thing to our children?
How I'll answer that is, first, we began by saying, when you get married to that man, he's not your brother. He's not from your culture, perhaps. So sometimes you even don't share the same beliefs. So what I tend to believe is there should be a moment of learning each other. Unfortunately, how I look at it these days, and even the young people that I'm mentoring and I'm counseling before they get into marriage, you realize the moment he saw, he loved, he loved, he got into it, So they move into something, and actually they do not have the bit of discussion, wanting to know, itakuwa tu ni mapenzi, sweetheart, love, darling. And when you bring emotional to a relationship, you close the logics.
Sure.
So you'll never know that person. So by the time you want to know that person, you're already pregnant. So you don't know how he thinks because it has been so emotional, fantasy, intimacy. So, and when, for example, even as we have loved, is it? When you're emotional with someone, when someone who I'm in love with, he comes, if I'm not very careful, I might not be logical. Maybe there's something wanted to discuss. We might not end up discussing that thing because I've been carried by emotion. Oh, I love you. By the time we realize the man is gone, So there was no discussion.
Sure.
So I'll wait for the next time. You get? And that's why we have failed or we are failing. And we have been failing. Women, we love with heart.
And then they love with brains.
Them they love with brain. So when he comes and he realizes he has already satisfied your heart, that emotional bit, you are okay, you are in cloud 9, he's done. He's been able to handle you. You have not been able to handle him. So sometimes I say, in as much you're relating, at times remove emotions. You remove emotions.
Sure.
Bring logics. Reason with that man. So yesterday you went. You did not come with bread. So what do we eat? I know you love us. I know. And I always pray for you when you step out that God will bless you. When they need to be pampered. Let's be so honest. We have been with them. Even whoever you will come your way, there's a point of that man wanting to be pampered. They're not babies, it's true. But there's an ego. They want that ego. Actually, it's an ego. They like that ego being fed. And that's why you find, let me just digress a bit, that's why you find a man will leave his wife, the wife of, the goat wife, to a chick, to a side chick.
Sure.
And it's like he's crazy. He's dying there. He even forgets you. You know why? Because that other person, there's something he's pampering, an ego. He's feeding on an ego. Men want ego pampered and be fed on.
Oh, yeah. Coming to you as I add this one on you, or your take on the same. When we are pampering the ego of a man, we've said we're from different cultures.
It's for advantage.
Yes, it is. That one I agree. Even in the Bible it is there. Even in other religions it is there. And that is why we are told to be submissive to our men. Now, you'll find instances where women also are more logic that men are not. And if you find a man, which most are, they're more logic than us, in terms of being straight, like we said, we love emotionally, they love brain-wise. And we miss that. Because if you don't pamper his ego, then you also don't get treated as a queen. And he goes somewhere else. It's not that you're not able to do whatever that other person is doing, but it's, for lack of better words, sheer ignorance of saying, hey, me, I can't do that. I can't do that.
It's common sense. He need to know what he need to do.
Okay.
He has a woman in the
From my
house.
experience, what I would say, I think, true, finding money was important in our lives at that age. And we had everything. Like I would get guests and they're thinking, are you in a house or a supermarket? You'd come to my house and ask, what flavor of yogurt do you want? What soda do you? Everything is there. Everything. Good house, good clothes, good beddings. Those days in early 2000, when you have a Persian carpet at age 23, 24, you're doing well. You have everything good, but minus the guy. So you did not come to this relationship for the things that he can offer, you know. So imagine you have see this big TV where I watch a movie alone. It doesn't add up to me, and I have a young baby. So you'd keep doing the pampering, and massaging his ego. Because I remember those days he said, I don't eat food from the house help. He's a culture. I don't make clothes are not washed by the house help. So do all those duties and go to work and look for money and make decisions. So it gets to a point you feel like, oops, I'm not doing this anymore. It's better. I remember telling my sister-in-law, it's like I'm married to myself. But outside there, when we are walking together or he has to take me somewhere, I remain...
He's so proud.
He's very proud of me. And he's proud of my contribution to the family. But he doesn't even tell you. So you're thinking, am I overworking myself? Am I overworking? And now the responsibility becomes so much because you also have to take care of the parents. You have to know, they live in a cold area? Do they have winter clothes? Do they have food? So you are included in so many things until you feel like, I am so alone. I need a break. I mean, you can forget yourself when you're massaging a man's ego. And what you said before, Pastor Lydia, you just said about us not loving emotionally. We are trying that space. It's not easy for a woman.
Allow me to cut you short. We are running out of time, and I'm being told by my director we need to wrap it up. In less than 10 seconds for the both of you, could you give us your parting shot? I'll sure invite you again for a part 2 of the same. Starting with you, Pastor Lydia.
Well, to avoid co-parenting, it starts from the foundation of a relationship. Communication, trust, understanding each other. We are from different backgrounds. It cannot only be my way. We need to hit an equilibrium whereby I'm thinking about you, he's thinking about me. Whereby, again, we remove the society from the picture. It is us. How do we want our children to grow? How do we want us to become? When now we have that in our mind, when we are assertive to what we want, we'll be very sure when challenges comes, right, left, we can withstand. Now, but when now the co-parenting happens again, we need to get to the demands of how to move about it.
Thank you so much. To you, Nyambura.
What I'd like to say about the co-parenting, it's in our mind. It also starts like just the relationship. And when you are sure, the both of you, about it, it works very well. And it is easy. And now you remove the emotions. And that is my parting shot. Where you remove the emotions and you have to do this thing called raising a child. For the society, not for you. Because the reason we are raised, even the reason we're here together, is because we were raised in a family to be given to the society to go and do other things that are out there, not only for you. So when you're raising a child, you're not raising them for yourself. So I think what I would say, our parents, the way they raised us was very authoritative until we forgot this part of the loving part of the child. And so you go to a relationship with the authority thing, and the love comes later when you get your own children. Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming, ladies. This one has been so impactful. Viewer, I hope you've learned as much as I have. Thank you for staying tuned. Let's continue this conversation online across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. Till next time, have a nice time. Goodbye.